All right, the airways are filling up quick. Mike Draco in the house, Rob Nussbaum, Kimberly Marie. Good to see all you guys here checking in with us. Mustafa. Hey man, this is Chris from Cycle Source Magazine. I'm going to be your engineer tonight and take you on this coast-to-coast ride with Chris Simmons and Michael Lichter. It's going to be a fantastic show. I am in the Mobile Command Center, broadcasting live right outside of Cycle Stop USA in Lakeland, Florida. I may never go home. We're back on the road. David Bird, good to see you here. John Salerno, right on 99% Radio Network in the house. It's good to see all you guys. Remember to put up your name and where you're listening from so we can give you a little shout out on the program, and do your part. Put up your comments, your questions, your concerns. Participate in Coast to Coast. We're going live in just 2 minutes, 50 seconds. Stick around. Oh, wait a minute. I can't take a break now. Everybody started filing in. Randy Dunbar, Illinois Bend, Texas. Mustafa, Libya, Killer, Doug Raquette, Walla Walla, Washington. Tony Pan, SanFelipo. Tony Pan in the house. Good to see you, man. Jeremy checking in from Minnesota. Mike Draco, Cincinnati. Michelle Sanders Springer. Joe Sparrow, Port Orange, Florida. Right on. Fantastic. Joe Salerno, can't wait for the cruise, brother. Right on. We're going to have a good time on the High Seas Rally. Ronster Ron, Milwaukee. Hey Ron, thanks for the little shout out on social media the other day. Appreciate that. Cornwall, UK. So many names. Look at that. The thing's going crazy. I think my computer's starting to smoke. We only got a minute and 50. We're going live. Roseville, California. Venus, PA, 70 miles north of Mars. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for participating in our brand of Two Wheel Entertainment. Remember to hit the like and share button. Help us get this out all over the Two World universe. Going live in just a minute and a half. Melina Tucker representing USA. Good to see you here. Michelle Elise. Wow, they're going so fast I can't even keep up. That's fantastic. 1 minute on the clock. Scooter from Virginia. Aberdeen, New Jersey. Man, New Jersey's like our we gotta be clogging up the bandwidth in New Jersey every time we go live with this. That's so good to see. Kayla Keeney, what's up? Houston, Texas in the house. Eddie, good to see you here. Walter Coro, got my goodies from auction. Toshigan, Wisconsin. Donnie, good to see you here, man. 33 seconds. I think that's time to get this one out of the stable and up on the track. I'm going to turn you guys loose on a killer episode of Coast to Coast. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited to be back. It's been there we are. We have a little break in about a week off there, a couple weeks off since we've seen you all, but I really am excited about tonight's show. Welcome to Coast, show about women in motorcycling, and we also have our token male. No, I hate to say that because he always says that, but Michael Lichter, our co-host. Come on in, Mike. There you are. Our token male. Yay.
Token male. There you go. It's me.
Wait, token or token? Are you token or are you token? Oh, never mind. I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know. Either way there. But again, you're a Nowie. So
Yeah. And I'm married to a Doobie Brother. What does that say?
it's
Okay, it's around us anyway.
very
Um,
good.
yeah. So welcome back. It's been a
Thanks. How
while,
was your
huh?
week?
Oh my gosh, my week in the mud. I mean, it rained here like 20 inches in 3 days. I swear to God, I was soaking wet every day and muddy and just, oh man, I don't know. I fell down in the mud again, of course, with my dog.
Oh my God.
You're out
Well,
skiing and I'm sliding in the mud. So, I know
that's
you're
right. As
skiing.
much rain as you've had, we've had snow. But I'll tell you, I was shoveling about, I think about 15, 16 inches the other day, and it was the wettest. It was the biggest, wettest snow and the most I've shoveled in a long time.
Yeah.
But the bottom couple of inches, it was just slush. So if it was 5 degrees colder, it would have been
Mhm.
like it is on the mountain, 17 miles away from where they got 3 feet
Right.
of snow. And I would have much rather shovel 3 feet of powder than the slush, but it was still gorgeous out. It was absolutely spectacular. So no complaints here. And what else happened? Since last week, I had a great day skiing with
Mhm.
my son up in the mountains. And I think I
Yeah.
told you I went skiing with Andrea. She may be tuning in tonight.
Yeah.
Um,
Andrea Barbara from
yeah.
Cannonball. If you don't
Oh
know.
my God.
Right.
She and Bob, we went skiing, and she, you know how competitive she
You
is.
know what?
So,
I know she kicked your ass on that mountain, didn't she?
oh, that I felt
Oh,
I kept up. I kept up. The last time through the trees, it was more trees and bumps than I've skied in years. And the last time through the trees, she got away from me. But
I'm
and then since last week, I also went with my son for a day, and that was epic. So my goodness. And then today I did something special. I went
Ooh,
into a place and had a coffee for the first time in a year.
what?
That's right.
What?
With
Wow. Awesome.
our buddy Dean Bordigioni.
Okay, I was gonna say with
Dino
Dean. Yeah,
Dino was
right.
in town, and so it was so
Uh-huh.
cool. He came up, and we both been fully vaccinated, and we went into a place. It was hardly anybody in there. It was well spaced, and we sat
Hmm.
for I think like 2.5 hours. We just had a great time chatting away. It was
Wow.
really, really nice.
I see Andrea just checked in. Hey, Andrea. We'll have to ask her.
Okay,
How
Andrea,
was it
did
with
you?
Mike? Tell the truth.
Uh-oh, you gonna tell you left me in the dust or what?
She was very impressed. Well, God, he was practically born on skis. Okay, he's been skiing probably as longer than he's been taking photos. Right
I have. That's true. My
there, you
goodness.
go.
I'm
There you
not going to
go.
say the number because it would make me sound way too old. I'm not going to say
Hey,
how long I've been skiing for.
yeah, I wasn't worried about you skiing, like hitting trees and all. I was more worried about you shoveling the damn snow. I'm like, don't shovel the snow.
Yeah, actually, a couple of people have died at my local ski
I
ring the
know.
last two
See,
weeks, so that's not cool at all. But then
really?
again,
Oh, wow,
yeah, got to
crazy.
watch that out. But what else? I'll tell you, there are more comments
I
before we
know they're
said a
coming
word.
in.
They're screaming in, and something that's
Yeah.
really cool. That like one of the first, I think the first comment was
Mhm.
from a guy in Libya, Mustafa Gabriel.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
checking in from Libya. We have Tony Marsland from Cornwall in the UK. We have
Jeez.
Rob Caldwell from Canada, and I think there'll probably be some other Canadians on. I just can't keep up with all these messages coming in, but
A lot of
um,
them.
yeah, a
That's
lot of them, and
great.
it's really awesome. A lot of people tuning in, which is nice to see.
Yeah, Rob Nussbaum. What do you mean watching from the Chris Simmons? Oh, my bedroom when I stay at Rob and Beth's house. I have my own room there. So he's get out of my room, out of my room. Get Emmett's probably in there with him, the dog.
There
So
you go. Well, you
right
know what? We
on.
should. I'd like to welcome all our, especially any new viewers that may be around and
Yeah.
may not be totally aware of what we do. But we're on
Uh-huh.
Coast to Coast, which is our Tuesday night weekly multicast. It focuses on engaging women that have compelling and inspiring stories, and
Mhm.
these are women that motorcycling is a big part of their lives, and that's why we have Vicki SanFelipo on tonight, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that
Vicki. Yep. Vicki's been on our list. We've been wanting to get her on. And again, this woman does everything. I mean, just I'm looking at her resume. It's like, sheesh,
You know what? You look at that resume and you go, this woman is a good person, right?
She is
But
an
then
awesome
again,
person. Yeah.
nurses
Yeah.
have a certain gene that makes them
Hmm.
want to be nurses in the first place. And I think that's a big prelude to her huge resume. But on that note, I think we should just bring
Yep.
her right in.
Yep. Come on in. Bring Vicki in. See if she got her husband Pan off the internet. Hi,
Yeah,
Vicki.
Hi,
Hey,
Vicki.
There you
hi,
are.
you guys. Welcome from Wisconsin.
Yay!
So, do you have as much snow as we have here in Colorado? Because I know it's always colder in Wisconsin.
Well, we got rid of it all. We had the most snow I have seen in many years this year. But
Wow.
Pan and I, as you know, kind of just got back from Nashville and Florida. We went and did some riding. And when we came back, the snow was pretty much gone. We just got a little spit yesterday again and didn't even have to shovel.
Mhm.
So we're
Right.
good.
It's not over yet.
But I think for those of our viewers that are not familiar with Vicki, I know so many of the people out there are.
Right.
Chris, I want you to do this intro because I know you've done a lot of women's programs with Vicki
Oh, I
speaking.
know.
Why don't you let us in on some of that big resume?
Vicki just does so much, so much, and for so many people. I mean, being a nurse, number one, and then all the accident scene management stuff she's done, training people all over the world. I'd rather have her tell you, but I'm just such a fan, and I just love her to death. And she's one of my closest friends. So come on in, Vicki. Let's talk. Let's just ask you some questions.
Well,
You guys have.
we're
you
going to at
guys-
least. I want to at least say to people that I know you first and foremost as a nurse and sort of first responder in the
Right.
motorcycle world because you've been on a number of Cannonballs. You've been on I don't know, is it 4 now, Vicki?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, 3 Cannonballs, the Chase, and then this year I'll be on the Chase and the Cannonball. So
Wow.
I started in 2014 with the Cannonball, and that was after talking with Cris, and I was like, oh my goodness, do you guys have anybody who's
Yeah.
doing medical support? And
Mhm.
Cris goes, I don't think so. So she said, I could introduce you to Lonnie, and she did. And Lonnie says, well, what do you want? And I said, I just want to come along. I don't want anything except just to be there and to support the event and be part of the adventure. And so he was like, well, okay, just be in Daytona at this particular date and, make your own hotel rooms and we'll just see ya. So I showed up. I mean, I hope you guys don't mind that I'm just kind of jumping in and telling this. So I showed
please
up.
That's okay. Yeah.
And Cris might remember this, I'm not sure. But I came a day early, thinking I was being really good by coming a day or two early. And when I got there, the registration room, nobody was like around. And I finally found someone and they said, oh, everybody's here. They're already registered. And, we weren't even sure if you were coming. So, oh, good, you're here. And so that was my first kind of like, I know nothing about this event.
Well, I have to say, you don't just ride the Cannonball. You ride to the Cannonball wherever it starts, like Portland, Maine, or Daytona Beach, and then you ride home after the Cannonball. So you're really getting the miles in, and then you do the ride also. So
yeah, the first one was started in Daytona, so it took me 2 days to ride there from Wisconsin to Daytona because it's about 1,300 miles, and 1,300 miles. So. And then I ride home. So it's usually around 7,000 miles for me in 3 weeks or so. And I must say the ride home feels really good because after you've been going kind of slow every day and all those stops, I just get on the bike and I just go, I'm gone.
Oh, you mean we go slow on the Cannonball? Hey, if anybody has any questions for Vicki, put them in the chat box and we'll try to get to them. But let's start back. You're the second of 4 children. You've got some brothers. You started riding. I think you broke up with the guy. You said you missed the bike, so you got your own bike. You got a Sportster back in what is it in the 79 Sportster, right?
Well, how old were you when you first started riding, Vicki?
29. I was 29 years old when I bought my first bike.
So nursing came first, it sounds like. Is that right?
Yeah, but only a few years. I've been into nursing for a few years. And, I think I was just longing for adventure. And I had been riding on the back with a boyfriend, and I really liked the motorcycle. It was a lot of fun. It was, great adventure. And then when we broke up, I kind of missed the bike a lot. And the weather was really starting to get nice. And I was hearing motorcycles go by, and I thought, to have to find another guy who rides a motorcycle so I can ride again, that just seemed kind of silly to me. So I started looking for my own bike, and I had just gotten a new credit card. You guys remember back then when, you could get these credit cards that had like $2,000 on them. It was like ready cash. And it was like my first one. And I thought, I found this motorcycle that had, it was only $1,600. And the problem was it didn't run, so it had been sitting in somebody's snowbank for 7 years, and it was all rotted out, and the tires were rotted, the battery didn't work, but I had $400 left, to get it running. So I bought the bike on a credit card, and
Wow.
it ran. It taught me a lot that first year. I can tell you that much.
Was that Sportster?
That Sportster, that 79 Sportster.
I think we have a picture of that somewhere. I think what's in our
Absolutely. I know we have a picture. It's a little ahead. You know what? We should let's even start with the first pictures and stay a little bit in order, and we'll back up because you already started with your little family history. When I know we're jumping ahead to motorcycling, but I still feel that nursing. I know you as this nurse on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But to me, nursing is so much about who you are. Not that motorcycling isn't, but I think this nursing thing is sort of inside and very much a part of
being able to mix the two is actually what I think is the most beautiful part of all. I feel like I am the most blessed person in the world to be able to mix both of those things that I love so much. And
mixing your passions.
I became a nurse because I had a daughter who was, I was actually going to school for social work degree. And I was starting to not be sure I was really going to be able to help people. I'd want to help them, but I wouldn't be able to as a social worker. And then my daughter got sick. She was 9 months old and she had a stroke, and she spent 5 weeks in the hospital. And I saw what the nurses were doing, and I saw how they were teaching every day, and they were making a difference in people's lives. And I really kind of came away from that thinking that I wanted to be a nurse because of what I saw them do. I also thought it would help my daughter, that I could know how to help her. So that was when that happened, was when she was little.
Wow. It's like one of the many, many, many things that you learned from Becky then.
Yeah, Becky was.
About nursing.
Becky.
I was really lucky to be Becky's mom.
Oh, Becky was a sweetheart. I want to look at this first picture. I love this first picture of you guys. I think is that you on the tricycle?
No, I'm actually the second of the 4 children. So I have a brother who's 11 months older than me. We were born the same year. He was born in January. I was born in December. So that's me with the dark hair. And then I have a sister who's a year younger. And then I have a sister who is 5 years younger. So just love 2 wheels like ever since. I never really played with dolls. I didn't care about that kind of girly stuff. I was out there playing football and tackling people and climbing trees and riding bicycles.
I only played with G.I. Joe. Does that count? My brothers and I didn't like dolls. But I like G.I. Joe. He's interesting. Anyway. Sorry.
You're a tomboy for sure.
Yeah. Hey, so here's let's look at their nurse picture coming out. I just love this picture.
How old are you when you graduated from the nursing school?
Oh, look at this picture.
I think I was 20.
Personally, I think you look about 16. Maybe. Barely.
Oh, look at their little face.
Yeah, I think I was 26 years old there. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, you sure did not look 26.
Yeah, we had the nursing cap. I mean, back in those days, you didn't have to wear them when you were working anymore, but I did have to wear a dress, and I had to wear white hose, white stockings, and wear white
uniform.
shoes. And,
It was a different time.
I had 3 children by that time. I had all 3 daughters. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And then, so then this next picture, how old were you there? And who are you with in this picture?
Well, that's graduation. So that would have been the same. And that's my oldest daughter, Andrea, who Chris met when we came out to visit her.
Wow.
So
I still think you're 16 and that's your 10-year-old younger sister.
And Andy's also a nurse, right, Vicki?
Yeah, she's a nurse as well. And then she also is a massage therapist, and she left her nursing career. She's still a nurse, but she felt that both of those things together, because she's very earthy and she's very much about natural healing and that kind of thing, and not really into all the medications that people take.
Right.
She's so anyway, she really followed her own path, and she's just doing a beautiful job of taking care of people in a different way.
Carrying on the family tradition.
Yep,
Speaking
yep.
of which, Rick Rodriguez commented already, and he says hi to you, that he took a class in New York. He took a class in New York with Christine Firehawk.
Yeah, Christine Firehawk, and that was at the Duchess University, somewhere like that in Poughkeepsie. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Okay, and he's the proud dad of a recent nursing school grad. So another person, another family passing on the tradition.
That's awesome. Yay, we love our nurses.
So then these uniforms, I could see in the next picture, how long did that last for? Is it still the rule? What is, I don't think it's quite as rigid as it used to be.
No, definitely not. And that was, I was working a cardiac care unit, a step down unit from ICU. I worked critical care for a bunch of years, then mostly did step down and floated to ICU. So that was about 7 years of my nursing career. And then I went to Department of Surgery, and that was really great because they provided the scrubs and it was just like wearing pajamas every day. But I worked in Department of Surgery for 16 years and was the educator for Department of Surgery for the last 8 years of my career. And then I just quit. I mean, people say I retired, but I didn't retire. I just left. I was having too much fun.
I think the contrast between that photo and the next photo is the story of this multicast, and it's the story of your life.
Yeah, there you go.
I wish we could do a split screen with the two pictures, because that last picture to this picture, it's like, yeah, really, something was howling on the full moon, and this is what happened, right?
Is this when you went to Sturgis, is it?
Look at that contrast.
That was just before. That would have been the second year, because we don't have a picture of what the bike really looked like when I got it. But this is when I redid it. So I actually had, over the winter, I tore the bike down to the frame because it was so rusted out and the wiring was so bad that I had to do some things to it. The first year I had it, the shocks were stuck in the down position. And every time I would hit a pothole, the shocks would all of a sudden pop back up again. So, and then I'd hit something and the shocks would get stuck. So I carried this handle, like an axe handle, with me in the saddlebag. And when I would get somewhere and the shocks were in the down position, I would pull that handle out and I would smack the shocks, and it would then pop back up again. And people think, thank you, Cris. And I remember one person running over to me going, no, when I had that handle out and I was getting ready to hit the bike. They thought I was mad at the bike, but it wasn't that.
So you rode to Sturgis. What year was that? Did you ride by yourself to Sturgis that year?
1987 was the first year I got my bike. I actually rode it out to Sturgis that year against the advice of my mechanic. He kept telling me, don't do it, just don't do it. And I took my bike to him and I said, I've got $200 and do whatever you can to my bike to make it roadworthy so I can go out there. And he just shook his head. He says, all I can do is put new electrolytes in your battery, charge it up, and put an O-ring chain on your bike. And, he says, please don't do it. So I didn't get out of Wisconsin before it broke down. So this was a common occurrence, as you see here, is I was constantly having to work on my bike. I mean, we started it all the way out to Sturgis. And I love Rob's comment. 79 Sportster, the Etzel of Harleys. That was my first Harley too, was a 79 Sportster. I rode it for 1 year and I couldn't wait to get rid of it.
I got a question for you. You said that it's been such fortune to be able to mix your two passions of nursing and motorcycling. But I'm curious now. I think a lot of people in the motorcycle world know that you're a nurse because we see you in action. What about on the nursing side? Have you shared that with them, or is that really a separate thing that's not shared?
No, I share it with people. I just actually taught a doctor this last weekend. He took my class and he wants to become an instructor for me. And he's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. So I think I'm not the only healthcare professional. It used to be a fascinating topic for a lot of the doctors. They loved it when I came in the room because they could ask me about my latest adventure and my motorcycle. As a matter of fact, I think one of the reasons I got my job as a nurse in surgery was because of rebuilding my motorcycle. When they were interviewing me, they asked me what the most thing was that I've done in my life that I was most proud of. And I said, well, outside of having my children, I said, if you take that out of there and being a nurse, I said, actually, it was rebuilding my motorcycle that I was most proud of. And they kind of looked at each other and they went, oh, she'd be great for all of this equipment that we're always having to troubleshoot.
Right. So tell me about when you met Slider Gilmore. Did that, our good friend Slider Gilmore, I don't know if anybody knows him, but that really changed your life and your whole
I think you should rephrase that. Does anybody not know Slider Gilmore?
Yeah. Well, maybe Vicki can tell us about Slider and how you met him and what happened.
Guy. I mean, he was an EMT from Iowa, and he got his nickname Slider from sliding down the highway. And he is just so fun. He tells us that when he woke up, when people woke up in the ambulance and they saw his big bushy face, they didn't know if they'd gone to heaven or hell. So, I mean, that just tells you Slider is just so funny and so entertaining. And yet he shares so much with the motorcycle crowd. So he was doing a conference in Wisconsin for EMTs, and it was called Two-Wheel Trauma. It was A-Beta Wisconsin had brought him in, and Tony and I were just kind of sparking each other at the time. And he knew I was a nurse who rode a motorcycle, and he wanted to spend more time with me. So he invited me to this conference that Slider was going to be talking about. And after listening to his presentation, I started thinking about all the things that I wished I knew about motorcycle trauma, because people thought as a nurse, I was going to be able to stop to help people on the roadside. Right. And I thought, you know, as a nurse, people bring the injured people to me, and I have warm blankets and IVs and x-ray, and, you know, I have everything at my disposal, a whole team. I don't know what I'm going to do out at the roadside, maybe more than somebody else would. But I didn't really know who was even going to help me if I needed their help. So after hearing his presentation, I called him up and I said, you know, Slider, I said, I really appreciate what you taught, but I'm suddenly concerned about myself and I want to teach my friends. And he paused for a moment and said something that I'll never forget. He said, you know, he said, the more people we get trained, the better off we are all going to be. And then I'm going to go further to tell you that there are 18 million motorcyclists in the United States. And the most likely person to be first at the scene of a motorcycle crash is another motorcyclist. So we actually all should know how to help each other. And that would make a huge difference in outcomes. So not only do we need to learn how not to crash, I mean, that's all very important, but we also need to know how to help if something goes wrong. And that's really, you know, where I believe that it's the responsibility of all motorcyclists to know how to help.
Right. So is that your work with accident scene management pretty much?
She started it.
Yeah,
right.
So
you know, actually, we can come back to this, but can we at least go over some of these different titles that you have? Because you're the executive director of accident scene management, lead instructor, American Heart and American Red Cross. The owner of SOS and Conspicuity brand products, COVID-19 rapid testing, individuals in business. You got a lot going on. So I guess all these things tie into your nursing, right?
Yeah. It all does. You know, as I was backing off of my nursing career, I really needed a way to be able to fund my fun. And I couldn't just quit. I mean, that was not an option. So I started teaching CPR. As long as I had a mannequin, I might as well do some CPR training. Then I started building trauma packs for motorcyclists. So not only could I teach them, but I could also give them the proper supplies, get them supplied so they can have a trauma shear, a rescue breathing barrier, a tourniquet, those things that they need in order to implement the training. So I started doing those types of things. And so I started my own for-profit business. As the director of accident scene management, and the person who started that back in 1996. So I volunteered. I have never taken a paycheck from being the director of accident scene management. So not in 20 some years. So I teach instructors. I work full time for accident scene management, but it's volunteer. So I train them in instructors. I actually am even the even the bookkeeper for accident scene management. There are other people who I contract to work for ASM, but anyway, so Road Guardians also came into play as a social program that helps to fund accident scene management, and anybody can join and pay $20 a year to help us with our mission.
I don't even have that on the list here.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Well, and I know you've trained over 40,000 people. You've been all over the world. I know you went to Australia. You trained
twice.
People.
Yeah, Australia twice. Hawaii, I've been twice to do training. Those were other times that I came. I've been up to Alaska a couple of times. I have instructors in South Africa, Philippines, working on some people in Canada and Germany right now, and Liberia. So those are the three that I am going to be doing some training for. Liberia actually speaks English. They speak English over there.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. So that goes back to 96 when you started this, but when was the last time you were actively in the hospital as a nurse?
In 2010. So
wow, so you had all that stuff going on at the same time.
And
25 years I worked as a nurse at the hospital. And then I wanted to do that Diamond Posse ride, which we haven't talked about yet. But anyway, I wanted to do a ride to honor veterans, and they wouldn't give me the time off. So I quit my job and decided to see if we could make things work with accident scene management in my for-profit business. And Tony knew too that it was really stressful for me to be working and trying to do all this other stuff. So my husband, Tony, I shouldn't just assume everybody knows who that is, but Tony Pan, so I came home one day and he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, I just am not, I'm stressed. I'm trying to do too much stuff. I said, "The only reason I'm working is because you want me to." And he says, "I don't want you to work." And I said, "What?"
Well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, so I put my notice in the next day, and we've made it work. It's been all right. I do a lot of volunteering yet. I mean, even the Cannonball, the chase, everything, all of those things. I don't want to take from the motorcyclists, but I'll take from the other people. So I do the CPR training.
What was Tony doing when you left nursing? What was he doing at that time?
He was working for Hupy and Abraham. He's a accident investigator and marketing person. He's a motorcycle case specialist for, hey, there we go.
And we have to say, Tony's the first freedom fighter that was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't know what year was that. Do you remember what year Tony got inducted?
He was inducted in 2002. He was inducted in the morning at the museum in a special ceremony with the mayor of Sturgis there, and Tommy Thompson and our whole crew. And then that afternoon we got married on top of Crazy Horse Mountain. So
let's bring in some of these photos back.
Yes.
If we go back,
we'll have to take a break soon. But yes, let's finish talking about Tony and look at the picture of Crazy Horse.
Yeah, we have a
wedding picture.
We have a few pictures, and then we'll roll into break here. But because I think we left off with the bike show number 7.
What a cool place to get married. Oh, there's the bike show. We didn't talk about the bike show. Tell us about this bike show. Yeah.
Well, the Central Wisconsin Motorcycle Show was something that my buddies and I started. I don't even remember when it was. It was sometime in the or mid 90s or something like that. But we didn't have anything kind of going on up there. So we rented some buildings at a fairground and started small with this Central Wisconsin motorcycle show. And then we ended up eventually hosting an Easy Riders Rodeo, which was the only one they had ever had in Central Wisconsin. So, so it was pretty cool. I was the only chick that was in there. So
you've always been involved in all that stuff. So tell me about this wedding. Whose idea was it to get married at the Crazy Horse Monument?
It was my idea. When he asked me to get married, I was kind of like, well, I don't want to just get married during a rally or anything like that. He says, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'd like to get married on top of Crazy Horse or something like that. Well, you know, Tony, the next day he was on the phone talking to the governor of South Dakota to ask who he had to ask. And he just tracked it down and he made this happen. And when we first contacted Crazy Horse, they said, well, how many people do you think you're going to have? And we said, well, maybe a dozen. And then we ended up with like 225 people showing up for the wedding.
Just a little wedding.
But I have to say, I don't really believe you're married to Tony Pan.
Isn't that awesome?
No, because that picture, that was not Tony Pan in that picture.
Yeah, they got the short hair. Yeah, we never saw Tony with short hair.
I'm sorry. The real Tony Pan, you'd see his beard from 50 feet behind him.
Well, it's the back of his head. I'm thinking, who is that? I know we said that in the pre-show. I'm like, who is that guy?
Let's we should roll into break here, but and we'll come back with lots more stories. But before we do go to break, I want to remind our listeners and viewers that if you have any suggestions for us that fit this, you know, the kind of women we're looking for with these great, compelling stories that love motorcycles and have inspiring stories, please, you could post it here, although I certainly don't want to miss it. It's best if you'd email Cris through her website or email me, mike@lichterphoto.com, or through my website, because we've gotten some great suggestions these last couple of weeks, people that we may not be aware of. So please keep sending them in. It's really a great thing for us and great for the show. On that note, let's roll into break.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back, everybody.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm with Banks Brothers Motorcycles. One of the things I want to show you today is our new improved engine puller.
The changes to this machine has been in the arms and in the hands. We put hind joints in the hand to allow rotation of the engine, which makes it easier to get it in and out of the frame. With the angle change, we have equal clamping pressure on them. And over here we have what's called the Posi Lock, which allows this to be locked in place and the engine can't swing from side to side.
And we're going to show you just how easy it is to pull the motor out of the bike right now. George is actually going to come in, make contact with the cylinders, tighten it down, and pull it out of there.
You lift it up, rotate it, and bring the assembly out of the frame. You see the motor starting to move, and it centers itself. This allows no side play once the motor's in place, and it keeps it safe. It can't fall out.
Visit BanksBrothersMotorcycles.com to order your Banks lift.
We're ready to race. What's your strategy? Go fast.
The Fueling name has been associated with racing and high-performance engines since 1974, when founder Jim Fueling started fueling the flames. From Daytona to Monaco, from the Bonneville Salt Flats to the Indy 500. Fueling is here to compete. Look for the Flying Pig to run up front this year with pilot Ben Bosman. Fueling. No bullshit, just performance.
Wow, cool commercials.
Absolutely.
So I have a question to answer before we get into back with Vicki. Somebody had asked a question. What's Vicki's favorite long distance ride? I guess she can hear us still. I guess there's so many I couldn't even
She's
imagine.
done a lot of long distance rides.
What's your favorite long distance ride?
Oh, my favorite.
Put you on the spot.
Favorite. Yeah. I mean, you know, because I don't know if I can pick one out that would be my favorite. I do love Colorado. I mean, I think going in the Rockies, it's just, anytime there's those great big canyons, just kind of on either side of you, and then you crest something and you can see for miles. I mean, it's, but I'm a twisty girl too. So
yeah, that's
I
right.
love.
Now, is that twisty or twisted?
She's
Well,
I'm
Twisted
Twisty's sister.
It's twisty.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Road Guardians, and then you started a group called Women in Motion. So tell people what the Road Guardians are.
This next photo you could bring up is with the Road Guardian.
Oh yeah, Vicki started this too.
Yeah, and you didn't even have that on your list, Vicki.
Oh, there we go. I didn't have it on my list. Well, it's my name of my road or my website, so I suppose. But yeah, Road Guardians was actually created in 2009. We were creating it in 2009, and it was launched the beginning of 2010. We needed a way to connect to our students, and we needed a friendlier way than just accident scene management to be able to connect motorcycle safety and bring messages to people. So we started a social program called Road Guardians, and it basically is our platform and how we teach accident scene management classes. It's because of Road Guardians that we're able to raise money and connect with our students.
So is that message going out through social media, or do you use print media at all, or brochures, any other?
We do all of that, yeah. Brochures. We've got
you ran a commercial in Sturgis, right, during the rally?
We did. Well, yeah, because you know about that since you were in it.
I guess. I thought there was more. I didn't know it was just the one that I. Oh man, my acting was so great. It was horrible.
Yeah, you and Pat did a video, or we did a commercial. I actually had to run out there a week later. After Sturgis, and after you guys did that, we didn't have the right footage, and we needed to get some footage. So I drove out there in one day. I rented a motorcycle. I got together with some people, including Buffalo Chip, who did the videotaping. We went out and we did some filming and of me like getting run off the road by somebody.
Oh,
then in the ditch. And, if you remember that part of the commercial, that was me running back out to Sturgis and then filming that and coming back like in 2 days.
Oh my gosh. Well, tell us about.
Do you still work with Slider at all in any way, or interface with him in any of these groups?
I'll probably see him soon. I don't work with him. He has his own program and his own people. And I think he's just too high level to work for me. So, but I've suggested it. No, I mean, why would he, no. But I think absolutely the world of him. He still does his training, and I'll see him in a couple of weeks. So there's a conference going on here in Wisconsin. So I see him.
Is a bit off topic, but I'm curious. How did he go from being a pig farmer to this accident safety deal? I mean, he's the expert and authority. How did that happen? Do you know?
Well, he was a pig farmer, but he was also a volunteer EMT. Well, I don't know if he was volunteer for his local community. He might have been paid. I don't know. But he also volunteered out in Sturgis as an EMT during the rally. So that was how he kind of got started with this, is just wanting to teach other bikers how to help each other. And
I don't think he was a volunteer EMT when he locked me in a bar in that little town till 5 a.m. We'll go on to the next story.
We have to hear about that later. Hey, let's talk about the Diamond Posse, because I go back
with Slider. Yeah, let's more photos, because we got the Diamond Posse coming up here too.
Diamond Posse was pretty cool. That was in 2009 when I met Cris, actually, when Cris and I first kind of actually talked to each other and met each other. I also met another woman at the same conference, Diva Amy. So Amy Scaling, she's the one that's right in the middle there and just always bigger than life. So we had, so Diva and I, when I did an iron butt home from a women's conference that was in Keystone, Colorado. And that was where Cris and I talked, and I was presenting there. She had a booth selling her book. And I had met Diva. As a matter of fact, she pulled up outside of a restaurant where I was eating, and I had my back to the window, and somebody pointed out the window, and they said, "Well, would you look at that?" And if you've ever seen her, she has this blinged out bike, and it has leopard spots on it. And to this day, I don't know if somebody paid my bill, because I just jumped up out of my chair and ran outside because I didn't want to miss that bike. And I especially didn't want to miss the woman who was riding that motorcycle.
Well, I'll tell you, you've ridden next to her. I've ridden next to her. She blinds me with that bike. I can't ride next to her. I have to get ahead of her or behind her.
You know, I've ridden cross country with her. And it's just fun. I like to just kind of sit behind and watch people's reactions to her and her motorcycle. But yeah, she is as flamboyant as her motorcycle. Yep. And I called her up after, she didn't even remember talking to me, but I had gotten her card from her. And I called her up and I said, "What would it take to get you to come to Milwaukee to a women's event?" And she said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, I just think that you'd be very inspirational and you'd be a great draw." And she says, "Well, I'm not really interested in doing something like that, but I would love to go cross country and do it for a cause." And I was like, "Oh, that would be a great idea." So I actually called her up about 2 weeks later, and she tells the story that we just had this little chat on the phone, and 2 weeks later I had the whole ride planned. So
she loves to ride. That woman is a rider. I have to say, she rides her butt off. She's everywhere. Yeah.
So we came up with this idea to go from San Antonio, Texas, riding back to Wisconsin to join LZ Lambo, which is a welcome home to Vietnam vets. And we rode for 10 days in a row, every day of National Armed Forces Week. So we raised money for the Center for the Intrepid that's at the Sam Houston, like a base, Army base in San Antonio. And they rehab some of the soldiers that are coming back that have burns and lost limbs and that kind of thing. So I had just met Kat. So I asked her if she would want to come along. So she got involved. And then I met a master sergeant from the Air Force, Aldana Fernandez from California. So she came along. And then I had met this other gal through the years who was into motorcycle safety. And she did all of the safety on the bases and worked for Cape Fox and had a military family. And that was Bobby Carlson. So the five of us met in San Antonio to go cross country. Well, I thought this would be just a shame to do all of this and not have it recorded. So I was still working at the hospital at the time. And I hired a film crew to film and photograph us doing this ride. And they came along on the entire ride. And I still have all of that footage. I just never did anything with it. It's
that sounds like a fun project.
Yeah, that would be a fun project and an expensive one. When it came down to it, I didn't have the funds for that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you've been involved in so many projects too. And then the Biker Chicks, the book, picture number 13. Biker Chicks of, was it North America? I don't remember what this book was called.
Biker Chicks of North America. That was it. And well, you should know, you're right in there. You're the first person.
I know, but I don't remember.
In that book.
Where was the author in that picture?
So
maybe he was
the author is not in that picture.
It's Edward.
I know.
Yeah.
There's Gavin and Pepper.
It's a great shot of this group of women. I really like that.
And Betsy and so
of course, Gloria right in the middle.
Of course. Gloria's right over here on my wall too.
Oh yeah, Gloria. I know. I have her painting in my house. I see her. I talk to her every day when I go up the stairs. I see her painting.
Very cool.
So fun.
So what is that the book you're signing in the next picture? What book are you signing?
It is. Yeah, that was out in, let's see, this one was down in Daytona. The last picture
2014.
was in And so this one was down in Daytona. We were signing some books. So you see Karen in the background, Karen Davidson, she's signing somebody's shirt. But people will walk up to me once in a while with that book and ask me to sign it.
And tell us about your headband. You're wearing the Women in Motion headband.
Yeah, Women in Motion. I started that actually, co-started it with another gal. Penny, and we started it in 2000, the year 2000. So back then, there really weren't a lot of women's rides. And we wanted a ride that had all female road guards, and we would go do these 250-mile-a-day rides with female road guards blocking all the intersections. It was kind of a crazy thing we did. And, you know, we'd have like 80 to 100 women who would come on these rides. At one point, we had actually gotten it up to 300 people. And then it started to kind of taper off, and we just kind of got to the point where it was blocking roads was not such a smart thing to do anymore. The traffic was terrible, so I decided to pull the pin after 18 years.
Since you're talking about riding with women, I gotta mention what Diva Amy just posted here. Don't forget, singing at the truck stops takes balls to be a woman.
All right.
Yes, it does.
I don't know that. I personally don't know that too.
She's a socialite, and she's a decent housewife, and she makes a lean, mean lasagna. But it takes balls to be a woman.
And then Lori De Silva chimes in. I remember you all humming the Rocky theme song when Mom got there. Yeah, Lori. We've had so much fun. And then we talk about biker bells, and then we did biker bells panel together.
I think I see a pattern here, because like for years you've been giving back to the community, and then all of a sudden you're signing autographs and you're sitting up on panels and doing talks and traveling around the world, right?
Yeah, you know, any opportunity, you know, so I do all these other things, but really in my heart, I do them to be able to talk about accident scene management, really, you know, and to be able to tell people, you know, at the end of the day, we each have our thing. Like Cris wants to tell people about this, you know, this fabulous, not just about the book, but about all of the history and the work she's done in preserving women in history. I mean, I see that as, you know, Chris's aura, you know, and who she is. And, you know, hopefully what I'm remembered for someday is, you know, being a female motorcyclist, yes, but having saved lives in the motorcycle community by training people. That would be like such a wonderful thing. And after speaking at Biker Bells, I was riding the back of the pack with the women. They were leaving to go out to Buffalo Chip. And I actually took this picture. I wasn't the person helping, but you can see how the motorcyclists are helping the EMS to get the person out of the ditch who I stopped to help. And that person was severely injured. But the motorcyclists, and, you know, we made a difference stopping and helping her, and then helping the EMS quickly get her into the ambulance and off to the hospital. That's what we can do. That's the difference.
And then when you did the Cannonball in 2014, I think we had a guy that went into a ditch situation also, and he was going to get ready to get back on his bike.
Should you be introducing this photo by saying going into a ditch? I don't know.
This isn't the photo that goes with the story. That's Big Sweet.
I don't know if you better change your language there, Cris.
That's Big Sweet, okay?
That's a Michael Lichter photo.
And there's Dino, who I had my
Sharon
with earlier today. Isn't that great? Well, that is one of the most uninhibited laughs or smiles. I think you're just looking like you're having so much fun right there.
I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe because he's so big.
That was
he
the first
so
year.
big. I think we were trying to show how she just comes up to his belly button or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, we have fun in the gas stations too, you know. It's not all stress and breakdowns.
Yeah. So what happened was Big Swede was standing there. He was so tall. And I said, I bet you could just bend in half and you'd be about my size. So he just goes right forward. He just flops right over. And now his butt's like right there. And what can I do but slap it? What?
And there was Michael Lichter right there, right?
And I didn't even know you were there. I mean,
probably egged it on if I know Michael Lichter.
I may have instigated a little bit.
Yeah. But really, getting back to the Cannonball, you did that first Cannonball. Somebody went into a ditch. I think it was the first Cannonball. Was it 2014 or 2016? I don't remember.
Let's just set the record
probably
straight.
On both those Cannonballs.
Yeah, somebody went down. But really, I mean, you saved his life. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Let's see. Was the first? I've helped people at every Cannonball, and and typically I've had to go to the hospital with somebody who has been hurt. And well, hi, Shane, by the way, sorry, I got to just say hi to my buddies. But yeah, so people have gotten hurt pretty bad, like out in the Rockies. One of the guys got hurt pretty bad, and he started getting worse while I was taking care of him. And he was trying to wave me past. He said, no, keep going. He says, I'm fine. And it was hard because it was right at the bottom of one of the mountains, and it was going around a stream, and there wasn't a good shoulder to pull over on. And as I was going past it, whenever I see somebody alongside the road, I try to stop and check on them, even if it's mechanical. I just want to make sure they're okay before I keep going. So it's not unusual for me to stop about 20 times every day just to check on people. And easy for somebody to be in shock. You need to really know how to read that they are hurt and just not saying move on because they're in shock.
I think you want to get back on his bike, and you told him, I don't think you're getting back on your bike.
He wanted to get back on his bike. He says, I'm going to be okay. Just wait a minute. And he was trying to catch his breath. And then he started to get worse, and meaning that he's like, I need to sit down. I need to sit down. And he was starting to look pale. And I went back to my bike to get more tools and things so I could check his pulse oximetry and that kind of thing. And when I got back, he was laying down between a couple of rocks. And we needed to kind of lift him out and get him out of those rocks. And it was real sandy, so it was hard to even get our footing there. And when the EMS came, there were only 2 people. So it took about 20 minutes for the EMS to arrive. And then there were just the 2 people. So our help was really needed. And we were able to help get him into the ambulance. And I went to the hospital with him and missed the David Yule party. Darn it. But anyway.
Well, but you're an angel. And that man to this day loves you so much.
Yeah, I know. I call him about once a year.
Rob Nussbaum was wondering if you were there when Carson went down.
Which time?
Which time?
We'll leave it at that then.
It's not always that stuff. Sometimes it's just somebody that's dehydrated, or someone
Carson got hurt pretty bad, and that was
he did.
Yeah, and I was not there when he went, but I went to the hospital as soon as I heard about it and that they were calling for the ambulance. Instead of going into the construction zone where it was a big mess, I just found out where he was being taken to and went to the hospital. So I stayed with him there until somebody was able to come.
That was a mess, but I know you've helped me in the road and in the Cannonball. Not from falling down, but just because I don't like the heat. And she's like, here, take this.
Yeah, distributing all your electrolytes, right?
That's right.
I buy a case. I go through about a case. So my for-profit company, the one I was talking about, the CPR First Aid, I supply all the first aid stuff through that. So, but it's such a joy to me to be able to help people stay on the road and stay healthy. The first year they were really scared of me. They were kind of like, no, don't stop. Oh, it's the nurse. And and then they started to get to know me, and they realized I was really there to help and just help.
Just out of curiosity, those little packets you distributed, you tore them open and you put them in your water bottle, right? Electrolytes. But it looked like you had a big box of those. Do you sell those on your through your site?
Sure, they're right there. Yeah, I do. I sell them on the website too. They're on the website. You can buy them by packet, or you can buy a box of them.
And she has kits too, Mike. Kits that you can get to carry on your bike. First aid kits that are special.
Maybe Chris could. Which website is that? Maybe Chris could bring that up and show everybody.
CPRfirstaid.com.
Because this is a real useful thing, and it certainly would help you out as well for all the goodness that you do in the world. And but
that's right.
I think this is the kind of thing. I know that on that trip I started carrying those, and I had 2 packets of electrolytes today as well. So I've kind of gotten in the habit of making it part of my day. That's and especially in the summer, my goodness, some of those areas we go through where you're sweating all day long. That's pretty important.
Yeah,
once people are turned on to those, they realize how important they are, and they start taking them pretty regularly. A lot of people think you have to wait until you're in trouble, and you don't. On a hot day, just take them.
you don't get leg cramps. right?
And smart
You're
water,
fine.
right, Chris? I turned you on to smart water.
That's right.
There you
I
go.
should have got I should have smart water sponsorship. My son told me I had bought so much of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
It
so
everybody
definitely
should
helped
go
me.
check out this website.
so
Yeah.
the
That's
website
awesome.
itself is CPR dash. This
Mhm.
is not my website.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. Well, then
No,
let's get that
it's
corrected real quick.
it's CPR, and then there's a dash, a hyphen, and then the number 1 ST. So CPR number 1 ST. So first like that.
She's a really good teacher too. She did a class at my house
I
for my
did.
family. For our
Yeah.
family.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I know.
Very
It's
cool.
really fun.
And it's a
Yeah.
requirement for everybody involved with the Cannonball to do one of
That's
your
it.
online classes. You want to explain that? Well, here's your
Um,
site now.
Yeah. So I
Well,
did
not the
COVID
riders, just the
training.
staff. You're talking about, Mike, the staff.
The
The
staff, yeah,
staff all,
that's what I
Yeah.
meant.
the staff all has to take my training so that so
Mhm.
we're all on the same page and they know how to help somebody. I can't be everywhere. So oftentimes the staff is there first and they can help. And that's what actually happened on the last chase where the one guy got hit by a truck that
Mhm.
when he was trying to make a left turn. And, he was not critically injured, but the people that were there were able to help him. And I just went to the hospital to gather
That's great.
information and see what
Mhm.
happened. So, yeah.
You know, maybe we could roll through a few more pictures. I know
Yeah.
that you'll
I want to say
only,
hi. I want to say hi to Gina Woods real fast. Gina's
Oh,
watching. Hi,
Gina.
Gina.
yeah, Gina and Matt Miller. He just commented how Vicki gave us electrolytes every morning on the
Yeah.
chase. She
Yep.
took great care of all the riders, and Chris was there to make sure I took them. There you go.
Oh, yeah, this is my fun bike. That's the bike you're seeing right now. So I have a bike that I call Trigger. And she used to be my husband's bike, but I took it away when he said, "Oh, look, I have 3 bikes and you only have one." So I said, "You got to give me one of them." And
Oh, is
then
that how that works? Okay. I have to
Yeah.
remember that.
no, I'm going to have 3 bikes and he'll have 2. So when I pick up my chop. So yeah, this has been a really fun project bike for me. And that's a real horsetail on the back. It has 38 caliber bullets on the seat. It's got a Western seat on it and a custom paint job with my nickname Spitfire. So in
Right.
in the cross pistols, it has a spark plug. Instead of bullets coming out, it's sparks, because I just like that. Yes. So it's because I truly believe it only takes a spark. There are things that we do for each other. We encourage each other, and that's like Slider encouraged me. And look what
Wow.
he did to me, to my life, you know.
Well,
And-
you're a spark. You are a spark.
You're
let
a
me tell
spark,
you.
and I'm learning things even from our commenters, because here Ron, he goes by Ronster, I guess, Ron Ronster, commented Vicki was the official track nurse at the AMA Ice Race Grand National Championships in Wisconsin, which benefits medical research. So, my God, your credits go on. Actually, Ron Nussbaum's asked, he said, "Can you tell us a little bit about Show Your PPE?"
Oh yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah. Well, when COVID all came along, immediately as a surgical nurse, immediately I couldn't understand why they were saying don't wear masks, because as a person who understands germs and sterile environments and things, of course, if you have a respiratory disease, the first thing you would want to do is put a mask on. So I actually started this group immediately on Facebook so I could start educating people about germs, about air, about how to wear masks, about the difference between different kinds of masks. And then I found that they're just thirsty for a good place where they could get reliable information and ask questions. So that was Show Us Your PPE was a place that I wanted people to feel safe asking questions and getting information.
Very cool. Now, was that focused on bikers?
No, not really.
Facebook.
Although,
Just
No, I was
whoever.
just curious, because
Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes, like for me, I know I did a story. Again, I'll date myself. This was in 1980, I think. And I did a story. It was called, I think it was just called Riding the Big Apple or something like that. It was about riding in New York City. Went out with a group of guys. For years, I had people commenting about how amazing it was to show New York City. And I'm thinking, like, the most photographed city in the world, but it wasn't until it was in a biker magazine that they looked at it. So I'm wondering if coming from you with your connections to motorcycling, if for bikers that would have more value and more meaning because you have their trust.
I think so for some of them. And I think some of them just really wanted to know and they wanted a reliable source. And I think some of them had already made up their minds. So I don't think you can change everybody's mind. And it was sad to me to see that there were so many people who would believe a conspiracy theory over a trained professional. But you know, that's a whole nother topic that would probably take a whole show to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and
you know,
that's coming from you as a fairly conservative person too.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
So
very freedom minded, and I don't at all believe that a mask takes away a person's freedom. I think it takes away a person's freedom when you get them sick. So that's just my thought.
Isn't this a mask that you made? This is a gator
That's
thing
actually
that you made
when I
up?
was inducted into the Hall of Fame this last summer.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. There it is.
Yeah. And
Picture here.
guess there's two things I want to point out about that. One is I was inducted into the Hall of Fame partially because of you, Chris Simmons, my dear friend who actually submitted my name, and thank you so much. It was like the fourth time that I was submitted for the Hall of Fame, but that was the one that pushed through and you know, Jason Sims made the phone call to me to let me know about it. It was very exciting. The Spitfire name on there is my nickname. And it was Diva Amy who gave me that nickname while we were doing the Diamond Posse ride. So, you know, it all comes around. Like I said, you know, I mean, we all interact with each other and make such a difference in each other's lives. So Hall of Fame, it was freaky to me that they had 500 people in a ballroom in the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
But I wasn't about to miss my own induction. So I knew it was, I knew I missed having you there, which I know you were watching every moment you could.
I
So
still feel bad that I wasn't there. And I really, I'm so proud of you. You know, I have to tell you, I'm very proud.
I sent you one of those, but what I did kind of as a way of thanking my guests for being there is I had buffs made with my logo on there from the tank of my bike that said Spitfire, and people could put it up and over their mouth. So, so they could have some protection. My dad even came up from Texas. Gina was there, Gina Woods. She was also Biker Chicks in North America. You know, Diva Amy was there. I mean, I was surrounded by my family and my friends, and it was really a touching moment for me. And I sang.
I know you did. I saw the video of it.
I sang at the end. I didn't tell them I was going to do that because they might have told me not to. So I thought I'm just going to do it.
People don't know Vicki used to play guitar and sing too. She's very talented. Multi-talented.
That's how I went to school. I was a singer. I was in a band called Blackfire Rose. I was the singer for that. And then I was in Leather and Lace. And then I went out on my own, and now I just sing for the bikers who were broken down alongside the road.
So you jump in the ambulance, take out your guitar, and just kind of relax somebody with some nice music, right?
That's awesome.
Well, do you have a few more photos we roll through and kind of wrap things up, I guess?
Yeah, and I want to ask you a question. What's next for you, and where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That one, that's a cool photo.
Well, we may have to hold off on that question because this is people are going to say, what's a big bomber doing in front of us?
So this is Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. I actually went up there and did training for the Air Forcemen. And this was a B-52. They have those B-52s there, and they took me out onto the tarmac where it says, if you go out here, you might be shot, you know, so it says, so they took me out there. I could not find the picture of me standing on the tarmac with my hands up in the air with a B-52 coming in for a landing behind me. The guy is kind of like, hurry, hurry, hurry. They're coming in. So this is, that was pretty cool. That was a nice thing. But I also taught at Eglin Air Force Base. Tony and I both went down there and taught. So that was
awesome.
Nice.
And then this next shot, we got a group here: Patrina, Shelley Rossmeyer, Karen Davidson,
Oh, yeah.
yourself. That's down in Daytona in 2015. And
You
then
know,
a nice shot of you riding through the desert.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have a question related to this. Here you are riding through the desert, and I know you prefer to be photographed without a helmet, which brings up the question: how do you feel about helmets? Because you wear them some, probably because you have to, or not. I mean, do you wear a helmet normally or not?
Not normally. It's I really do believe it should be a matter of choice for people. I will never ever try to sway people to not wear one if they want to wear one, and they, if I were to be asked, are you safer wearing a helmet or not wearing a helmet? Which one would sway you in a better direction? I would admit that I believe that wearing a helmet will give you that one-up advantage. I don't think that it always is helpful. And I think the one that helps you the most is the full-faced helmet. I don't think this helmet does all that much for you. However, I did get knocked over on my motorcycle, and I had my helmet on because we were in Kentucky on a cannonball run. And another motorcyclist who was just tagging along actually hit me. And my head did hit the ground pretty hard, and I was wearing a helmet. So because we were in a state that required it.
Yeah.
So
Same here. It happened to me when I was 18.
Yeah. I think if you hit something, going at a fast speed, it's probably not going to make much difference whether you had one on or not. I think for slow speed, it does make a difference, but you don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
So I'm not against helmets. I want to be clear about that. But I do choose often not to wear one, and I think it's just the way I learned to ride. And I know it gives Cris quite a little heartache when I say that, so because she wants me to wear it.
I never wore a helmet when I was younger. I had an accident. I was 18 and I wore a helmet, and glad I did that time. And then there were years when I didn't wear a helmet. And then when I got older, my daughter was in EMT training, and she made me promise to wear a helmet. And I really started doing that for her. And then there were the laws when I moved to California, we had helmet law. But I would feel naked now without my helmet. It's just my choice.
I've actually gone that way too. It was my kids that kind of talked me into it. And and the funny part is, the worst, I've been in a number of accidents and broken many bones, but the worst was when I fell out of a truck on my head. And of course, you don't wear a helmet in the back of a pickup truck. So, it wasn't an option at that point. Or you
do now, but you have to now, right? You
Not in the back of a truck.
Now you do though, right? I'm kidding you. I'm just messing with you.
Thank you. Let's roll through these last pictures. I think this next one, it's in Montana, but I swear it reminds me of Nome, Alaska or something like that. It's very cool. And then our next one here from next shot from Great Falls, Montana as well. You're out taking pictures all the time. I don't know how you fit all this in a day. And then here you are riding through Oregon, screaming through on your EMT bike. Oh, it's too bad I couldn't catch the flashing lights you have on there. That would have been cool. And then I really like this shot of you and Tony, this next one, which actually was not on one of our runs. It was at the Milwaukee Rally back in 2016. And I like that shot of the two of you. I just kind of a candid there. And then lastly is a shot you supplied us from the Hall of Fame. But head's cut off there. But anyway, we at least rolled through them all, and we covered a lot of material because you do have a big story to share.
Definitely.
Yeah. What I see in the next 5 years is a lot of the same stuff that I've been doing, quite honestly. A lot of people think that at my age, it's time to start, looking toward retirement. And, I suppose I could retire. I just don't know what I would do with the next 40 years or so in my life, because I plan on being around for a really long time. So I feel like I have a difference to make yet. I feel like I'm having a lot of fun, and I want to keep doing that as long as I can. And I really don't have any plans to slow down at all. I plan to continue to go on more rides. I'm buying a knucklehead.
Yay!
Yay! So
can I get an amen?
It's a red chopper knucklehead, and so I'm totally excited about that. And it's going to be my first little into the world of antique motorcycles.
Nice. Welcome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
and who knows where it goes from there. So, yeah, I've got quite a family. I've got 9 grandchildren, and 4 daughters still here. So,
that's awesome.
I'm pretty busy with
Well, tied in with Chris's question about the future, is there some little Spitfire somewhere waiting to learn from you and start helping you out on Cannonballs or events that you can't go on, and get more riders like yourself out on some of these big adventures?
That's a good idea.
Well, I think a lot of my instructors would absolutely love that. I mean, I've got a new gal that I'm training this week. I wish I could show you her picture, but she's just a firecracker, and she's from Kansas City. She's a nurse. And then we've got a nurse from Texas, Penny Fuller, who I think probably has a lot of potential that way. But yeah, I'm always kind of looking for that, the new people that I can encourage. I'd spent 10 years doing the women's ride for Harley Davidson and coordinating that during the rallies, and then stopped doing it, not because I didn't want to do it anymore, but because I really do feel that the greatest thing you can do is pass that along to another person. So I want to be here yet to help another group or another organization be able to take that over and counsel them through how to do it. So we're still working on that. It's been a few years, but
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you need to bring somebody else on one of the Cannonballs and have a second. It'd be kind of cool. Have a second medic team, one for the front, one for the back, and sort of in training.
Well, Tony's coming. I think her husband.
Well, Tony's going to be on the chase, and
I
don't. He doesn't like being away from the house as long as the Cannonball. He loves the Cannonball, but I probably won't do that one. But we do have Doc and Karen.
Oh, of course, I forgot. Yes, Doc is wonderful. Doc and Karen.
Right. They're
really great on these as well.
Yeah, and they'll do the next Cannonball too.
Someone must have missed a question. Someone asked a question, how many Cannonballs did you do? You did 2014, 2016, and 2018, correct? In the chase.
Yes. And then the chase in 2019. And then
to add to that person that asked the question is from Thailand, another one of our international guests. So that's pretty cool.
And no, Gina, my hair isn't red. This is my color of my hair, whatever it is.
She called you
and I did
long stockings.
And I did this for Vicky because I was
always. And then I didn't wear my pigtails.
That's great. Well, cool. Well, I think we've really gone over a little bit, but it's such a good story and compelling story. It's great to cover. But I think we're good. What do you think here?
Yeah, thank you, Vicky.
Sure do love you too. I can't wait to see you again. I'm sure we're going to be having more adventures together.
You have to check out some of the comments. There's a whole bunch of great stuff being said about you, certainly. So do check out the comments in the replay. And thanks so much. We'll see you on the road soon enough.
Yep, we'll see you soon, Vicky. Take care.
Yeah,
bye,
thanks.
Pam.
Thanks.
Good luck with that knucklehead. See you later.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I do want to thank some of our regular listeners, like Mike Draco's back. I can't name them all, but certainly Rob Nussbaum's here. Tony Pan has been here before, but certainly the fact that his wife was on didn't hurt. Mike Draco, Joe Sparrow, our wonderful road rider, Brian Pelletier, Scott Webster, Walter Bednarski, Andrea LaBarbera, which is cool. There's several past guests that are on the show as well, Andrea being one of them. Walter Currow, Nancy Keener, Charlie Weasel, and is Dave Przgocki, my Cannonball rider, my Cannonball pilot, Jason Sims, who chimed in suggesting Polly Marinova as a guest.
Yep,
Kayla Cooney, our past guest Kayla Cooney, Lori Struck de Silva, and so many more. I mean, there have been Amy Scaling, of course, Gina Wood, Steve Broyles, Holly Perry, lots and lots of people. It was really great having everybody on again.
Definitely. And let's talk about Cannonball Chronicles tomorrow night. I think they're going to have Roger Green on tomorrow night. 9 p.m. Eastern time. Cannonball Chronicles. Don't forget.
Roger's awesome. He's so much fun. Roger was great to photograph. He was great having on. And then, of course, we got the Sunday night for Shop Talk.
Yep.
And
groovy.
Oh, yeah, groovy. Wow.
Ooh, that scared me. What was that? Thank you guys so much. And don't forget to tell your friends about our show. And I don't know, we're not sure who we're going to have next week, but
I hope they tune into our websites as well. Chris's website
Yes.
and my website, and they could look at books or photos from me, and check out Cycle Source, our wonderful engineers and hosts of Cycle Source magazine.
Yeah.
It's all good, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yep. Same place.
Same time, same channel, Tuesday nights,
Right.
coast to coast.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Good night, everybody. See you next
Night,
week.
Chris. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.